Hi, Assalamu alaikum. In this video, we will understand about what happen when you will stop the glucose intake, simple refined sugar. So what will be happen? Let's understand about that is very important topic. We will understand about that. So remember that things when you will stop the sugar intake, so it means so the insulin level will be not spike. So the insulin will not spike in this way. The when insulin will not spike, so your growth hormone will spike rather than the insulin spike. In this way, the insulin will not spike, so the growth hormone will spike, will lead to trigger the lipolysis. The fat degradation will occur. In this way, the fat decrease, so the obesity will decrease. And in this way, remember that things the lipolysis trigger due to the hormone sensitive lipase enzyme. So this is the number one thing is that the obesity will decrease. And on the other hand, the type 2 diabetes mellitus will be decreased due to the insulin less production while the fat which that is used as a energy. How fat is used as energy? Beta oxidation of free fatty acid. That is the remember thing. So anyhow, whenever the growth hormone will spike due to the not eating of the glucose, so the glucose basically not eating you are. So in this way, the changes will occur. The lipolysis will produce free fatty acid and glycerol. That glycerol and free fatty acid go into the liver. When go into the liver, it will convert into the cholesterol. In this way, the cholesterol will be high, but this cholesterol is very important for the production of vitamin D. On the other hand, the production of the this cholesterol is used for the cellular fluidity maintenance, cellular homeostasis, the plasma membrane homeostasis will maintain due to the cholesterol. This is the number one things, but remember that things further we are understanding about that what will happen after the restriction of the glucose, the simple refined sugar. So on the other hand, this basically this cholesterol when spike, it will go into the testes or the ovary for female, but the test is for male. For female, steroid hormone, the estrogen will spike, will function normally, and in this way, the physiological function of the female will proper work. For the male, the testosterone will be increased, and dihydrotestosterone will be increased for the normal function like muscle growth, bone density, hair growth, premature hair stop. On the other hand, the basically is the problem is that the more testosterone will produce, and that if you will stop the sugar, then if you will not stop the sugar, so it means the testosterone will not produce by this mechanism. You have to know about that. Anyhow, this is the reason. Let's understand about further. So when you will not eat sugar, so the directly providing of the sugar to the cell is difficult because insulin spiking is difficult. In this way, the cell will feel the starvation mode. When starvation mode feeling will lead to activate the AMPK pathway, which that is the energy sensitizer, and since the energy ATP and ADP ratio will lead to increase the ATP, and in this way the cell will survive. Also, the AMPK pathway will lead to live more longer the cell. It means the longevity gene activation. But the inhibition of the mTOR pathway, this is the cellular mechanism we are understanding about that. So the cell signaling to the low glucose level will lead to feel as a nutrient deficient condition is known as the starvation mode, which that will lead to activate the AMPK pathway, will lead to inhibit the apoptosis if the cell will not damage. On the other hand, the DNA repair, and on the other hand, a lot of things which that will be repaired. So remember that thing. In this way, the basically the mTOR pathway will inhibit, because mTOR pathway is very crucial to success the cancer causing cell. So the differentiation and proliferation of the cell will be increased, and that is the problem. And in this way, the AMPK pathway will homeostasis and live longer of the nerve cell, live longer of the eyes, rod and cone cell, and a lot of cell will be survived due to the AMPK pathway. But mTOR pathway is used for the proliferation, differentiation, and that differentiation and proliferation will not check the repair DNA more efficiently than the AMPK pathway. For short, summarized thing is that the AMPK pathway is important for the longevity gene activation and cell survival. The life of the cell will increase, and in this way, the longevity gene activation basically. That is why the glucose when you will intake stop. So in this way you get the benefit of the live longer, so you will live more life due to the glucose stop eating of the glucose. This is the another things. On the other hand, the type 2 diabetes mellitus, if you have, you will decrease the type 2 diabetes mellitus while the decrease of the obesity. On the other hand, the when glucose level will be decreased in your blood circulatory system, so ultimately the fat which that is lipolysis will trigger more, and in this the beta oxidation of fatty acid will occur in the mitochondria of the liver and other cells, but also the free fatty acid will convert into the glucose for the clearance of the hypoglycemia in the blood will lead to normal level of the glucose. So in this way the gluconeogenesis will occur, but it is longer duration if we will extend the stop of the eating sugar. When we restriction of the sugar extension will lead to ketogenesis will occur. This ketone is the alternate form of the glucose, but it is light molecule, 3 carbon containing molecule like beta hydroxybutyrate and ketone, acetone, and the acetoacetate and the alpha ketoglutarate, a lot of type of the ketones which that provide the energy and run the Krebs cycle and electron transport chain work. And in this way the basically is the acetate which that is used for the production of ATP, and that is easy to consume for the nervous system. So our brain will adapt to the keto adaptation, that is known as the keto adaptation. In this way, when you will stop the glucose intake, so the keto adaptation will trigger. This is the also part of that. So the last one thing is that when you will stop the glucose eating or intake of the glucose, simple refined glucose, so in this way you will get the more benefit of the energy. You can consume more energy from the ketone and you will get more stamina, but the initial time of the glucose restriction will lead to cause fatigue and the tiredness and many problem like headache. But when you will continue this process, so you will adopt the keto adaptation will occur. So the glucose level will be automatically normal in your blood circulatory system, but use the ketone rather than the using of the glucose for energy. So glucose will maintain, but the ketone will be used, and ketone is normal molecule and it is less oxidative stress creator. So that is why the glucose is oxidant property. So the antioxidant is the ketone. So remember that things. So remember, in this way the ketogenesis will occur. So the whole summarization is that you will live more healthier life, more smart and less fat in your body, and you will consume efficient fuel as a ketone rather than the glucose, because the glucose is 6 carbon containing molecule while the ketone is 3 carbon containing molecule. That is the beneficial effect. In this way you will decrease the stress when you will not intake sugar, because sugar spike insulin and insulin will spike the obesity, and obesity will lead to low degree inflammation, and the inflammation in your adipose tissue as an inflammation, and in this way the low degree inflammation will also lead to cause stress. And when you will feel the obesity, you will also mentally scan stress, and that is a lot of things which that will be solved when you will stop the glucose intake. I hope you make sense about that. In this video we have discussed about what happen when you will stop the glucose intake, the refined sugar. So that is a lot of benefit. Remember that, not any side effect, but the initial sign and symptom is not longer time, longer duration, but it is shorter, and you will ultimately adopt more and more. Your body will adopt, and in this way your body will work more efficient, because the ketone is more smarter than the glucose as a energy provider. I hope you make sense about that. If you like my video, please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. I am also making the handwritten tutorial about the biomedical science. You can learn a lot of knowledge if you want to search that video. If you are a biomedical student or a medical expert, you can learn a lot of knowledge from my experience, and I am just learning about the biomedical science, because just it's my learning process. So remember that thing. See you in the next video. For this, and bye.